Geographically, the 7th largest country in the world. One of the oldest civilization. World's 6th largest economy. A global hub for innovation with one of the largest startup ecosystem. India. City of Mumbai on the western coast of Arabian Sea, among the most advanced and modern metropolises in the world, and the financial capital of India, gears up to host the most prestigious accountancy event of the world, 21st World Congress of Accountants from 18th to 21st November 2022, an event held every 4 years. The Olympic of Accountancy Profession. India hosts the event for the first time in 118 years since the WCOA came into being in 1904. Around 10,000 delegates expected to join virtually. More than 6,000 delegates from over 135 countries would congregate to exchange views at the world's most advanced Geo World Convention Center. The theme, Building Trust, Enabling Sustainability, will inspire the future of accountancy profession to create sustainable economies for the future.
The ICAI is honored to be the host for this mega event, which will bring together the world's largest conglomeration of professional accountants, regulators, leaders, and visionaries to advance the cause of the global accountancy profession. Now, with the ease of travel restrictions across the world and the situation returning to normal, we are working towards creating a never before and a unique experience for all our delegates. The year 2022 marks the 75th year of India's independence, and the Government of India is celebrating the year in a big way to showcase the glorious history of India. World Congress of Accountants 2022 would also be celebrated as a mega event to showcase the important role that the accountancy profession has been playing in the economic and social development of the country.
A never before witnessed unique experience of learning future trends, emerging avenues, enhancing skill sets, networking, and to explore the incredible India awaits you.
We at ICAI are pleased to host you here in Mumbai, the financial capital of India, for the 21st World Congress of Accountants with the theme Building Trust, Enabling Sustainability from November 18 to 21, 2022, and give you a professionally enriching and personally rejuvenating experience. We are hopeful that the conference shall be stimulating and productive, and your stay in India will be a memorable experience. Once again, we invite you for this enthralling convergence in India, the land of multicultural, historical, and spiritual inheritance since centuries.
Insights from the stalwarts of the profession, international and national standard setters, regulators, and trendsetters will constitute the panel of speakers at WCOA 2022. Let your dream get bigger. Come, be a part of this mega celebration. For registration and sponsorship opportunities, contact. Organized by Institute of Chartered Accountants of India under the aegis of IFAC.
This is CA Deepika Chaudhary from CPE Committee of CECL Committee of ICAI. I welcome all of you on 21st webinar on practical approach to pre-packaged insolvency resolution process PPIRP and also e-commerce and tackling cyber frauds. And today's session we'll cover two topics. First is practical approach to the pre-packaged insolvency resolution process, and another one is e-commerce tackling cyber frauds. First session would be taken up by CA Divya Somani, and the another session would be taken up by Miss Muskan Bhatnagar. Before starting the session, I would like to apprise you about Divya ma'am. So she is chartered accountant and a company secretary and insolvency professional and DISA as well. She has done certificate course of concurrent audit, certificate course on MSME, and as well as certified peer reviewer. She has also done diploma in IFRS. She has an experience of 14 years. She has excellent teaching background of several years, and the subjects like company law, business law, security laws, economics, business studies, etc. She is regular speaker at various study circles, webinars, and ICI platform, etc. I welcome Divya ma'am. Divya ma'am.
Thank you, Muskan ma'am.
Yeah.
I'm so grateful to you for such a lovely introduction.
It's, yeah, ma'am. The query will be posted in the chat box by the technical team.
Okay.
By the end of your session, you can answer those. Ma'am.
Okay. So hello everyone. A very, very warm welcome to all of you. And I'm so much thankful to you that out of your busy schedule, you have spared some time to hear me, and especially on this topic, insolvency and bankruptcy code. I would like to thank the committee members and Adukia sir especially for showing faith in me and providing me an opportunity so that I can be a speaker here as well. Well, on a lighter note, I would like to say that bankruptcy is a legal proceeding in which you put your money in your pants pocket and give your coat to your creditors. So you know how to save money in that case. Well, let us discuss a situation to understand it further. Why do we need insolvency, or we need to have this code, insolvency and bankruptcy code? Why is it there? Let us understand a situation. Suppose I am running a business and due to COVID, it has run into losses. Though I could do much better, but due to the circumstances, I'm not able to perform better. So the financial crisis or the distress which I am facing is because of some circumstances. It's not that my business plan has failed. So I still have the confidence that I can restart my business or I can do well, but the circumstances are not favoring me. Even the people, the suppliers, they are not providing me enough material or the financial help or the assistance which I should get. I am not able to get that. So what is the remedy available for me? Because my company is running into the losses. So the option is to shut down the business. But to avoid that situation, to avoid that shutting down of the business, the government has come up with the introduction of this code, insolvency and bankruptcy code, basically, to help you out to come out from this situation of distress, basically. Because if you are showing a promising future, then some or the other person may invest in your company and they can take up your liabilities and they can revamp your business after all, and they can lead it to the growth for the economy of India. So in fact, nowadays insolvency is not considered in a bad impression. It is now considered as a very good way to initiate a fresh start. It is a way to regroup and come back again with a full energy, full zeal, and just wiping out all the liabilities which you had earlier. So it's not bad at all. If you have come across any kind of losses, you can still go with it. So that is the main crux of this thing. And we are now starting with the main topic, which is PPIRP. Let me just tell you the background of PPIRP without starting the presentation. See, Insolvency Bankruptcy Code came into 2016, December 2016. However, it has not fully been notified. So some part of it has been notified and the other part is not yet notified. So the part which has already been implemented is for corporates, that is for companies, LLPs. So the process which they are taking up is known as CIRP, Corporate Insolvency Resolution Process. I repeat, it is Corporate Insolvency Resolution Process. In short, we call it CIRP. Okay, So CIRP is a process wherein an application can be filed regarding the insolvency of a particular company, that the company is not paying me debts. So who is actually filing that application? Suppose I'm one of the financial creditor. So here two terms are used, financial creditor or the operational creditor. So financial creditor is a person who has given some financial debt to the company or the LLP, whatever it may be. So we are calling the company or LLP here corporate debtor. So any person who has taken loan or any person who has taken any kind of financial debt here is considered as corporate debtor, while the person who has given the loan is considered as financial creditor. So if a financial creditor is not receiving any of the installments in time, it can raise its voice, it can raise its complaint against the company, provided the minimum default level, which is mentioned in CIRP, it is 1 crore. So if 1 crore default is there, they can easily file the application against the company that the company is not paying me in time and we want it to go under the liquidation or the insolvency process. So application can be filed by financial creditor. The second application can be filed by operational creditor. Who are the operational creditors? Those persons who are regularly involved with the business of the company. For example, the suppliers, the employees, the government department, whatever. So if an employee says that I have not been paid, again, the limit is 1 crore. So if 1 crore has not been paid to some of the employees, or it is like some supplier has an outstanding debt of this 1 crore, then they can go and file the application. Where to file the application? To the adjudicating authority. Here the adjudicating authority is NCLT. Okay, so with the advent of this insolvency and bankruptcy code, various amendments happened in other laws as well. So simultaneously you could see a change in Partnership Act. Like if you remember, there was a provision regarding the compulsory dissolution. Now that has been omitted in that Partnership Act because of the advent of IBC. Similarly, there were amendments in Income Tax Act, Customs Act, SARFAESI Act, Sick Industrial Companies Act, even Companies Act and LLP all have gone through a lot of amendments because of this insolvency and bankruptcy code. So wherever the term insolvency or the liquidation was coming in any of the laws, they all had to go through the amendments. And you cannot read them alone. You have to read it along with the IBC provisions. And IBC is prevailing over those laws now. So whatever is written here will override the principles of the other laws. So we are here to understand, we are here to discuss the situation, what happens to those companies who run into this kind of situation where a financial creditor has filed a complaint against them or the operational creditor has filed a complaint against them. And the third scenario is also available. The third scenario is that the company itself can file a complaint against it, an application against itself, saying that before anyone comes and files a suit against us, we ourselves want to go for the insolvency proceedings. In short, we can call it voluntary kind of thing. So voluntarily they are saying that we are ready to go for insolvency proceedings. So even the company, that is the corporate debtor, can also file a suit. So we have dealt with 3-4 sections here. Section 7, which is for financial creditor, they can file an application. Then section 8 and 9 is for operational creditors. And then section 10 is for the corporate debtor himself can file an application against himself. So that is the thing. So this is the process which I have told you regarding CIRP. But here our topic is PPIRP. So what is PPIRP? This has recently introduced with due to the situation of COVID. In 2020 only this provision has come up. So during 2020 it was observed that many MSMEs, that is micro, small and medium enterprises, were facing financial distress. So they were not able to cope up with the financial losses which they were having, and they were bound to, or they were pressurized to close down their business. So in order to safeguard them, this provision was introduced. So let us just understand the provision of PPIRP. and the full form is Pre-Packaged Insolvency Resolution Process, which is specially designed for MSMEs. It is just like CIRP, which we have just discussed. And here, actually what happens, you file a application, and let us discuss the case in PPIRP, what it happens. The corporate debtor himself wants to say that we can overcome our situation. What the corporate debtor does, he prepares a complete plan with some outsiders. Suppose I'm running the business and I am facing some kind of losses, and suppose Krishnakant ji or Muskan Bhatnagar ji, they come with me and they tell, don't worry, we are here to help you out. We will just pay off your liabilities and we can restart your business and we can come together and do all this thing. So let us have a plan for it. So we chalk out a plan, have a meeting with the creditors, discuss it with them, tell them that we are here to pay you your money. However, not in full. There will be some cut in your amounts, but most of the people, they will sufficiently or satisfactorily, you will get the amount. So it is anyhow better than winding up the business as a whole. So first we discuss it with the creditors, and then we go to the adjudicating authority, file an application there, and if they approve, then whatever plan was discussed will come into its implementation part. So that is the whole crux of the story. So let us go through the presentation also. I'm just sharing my screen. Just let me know whether I'm able to do so or not. Muskan ma'am, can you see the screen?
Yes, ma'am, I can.
Okay. So, we are just starting the topic. So various topics which we will be discussing, because I'm not aware about the audience and even I cannot see anyone. So I'm here not to just directly pinpointedly talk about the PPIRP. I am here to first discuss what is IBC all about, and then gradually we will come to our main topic. So firstly, we'll discuss about IBC, then PPIRP. However, in short, I have told some part of it. Then why this PPIRP was introduced, I have told you. And then what are the key features of PPIRP? What is MSME? Why do we need to understand this? Any ideas? Yes, I think you have guessed it right, because PPIRP is applicable only to MSMEs. So only when you know what is MSME, you can apply the provisions to them. However, there is one thing which you should know. MSME includes individuals, sole proprietors, proprietorships as well. However, for the purpose of this code, IBC, you have to take note that only corporates or LLP, I mean the companies or LLPs who are MSMEs, can take part into this process, PPIRP, because it is not yet notified for the individuals or the partnership firms, right? Next, we will be discussing about the benefits of PPIRP. I think you are now able to say that PPIRP is a good way, good option to just rearrange the business or restructure it in a better fashion. What shall be the workflow of PPIRP? What is the difference between CIRP and PPIRP? If anyone has joined recently, let me tell you again, CIRP is the Corporate Insolvency Resolution Plan, which is applicable for every company, every LLP. However, PPIRP is applicable only to MSMEs. That is the main difference between the two, and the threshold limit is also different. For CIRP, the default, if it is a default of at least 1 crore, then only you can file an application in CIRP. However, for PPIRP, a minimum default of 10 lakhs, I repeat, a minimum default of 10 lakhs can be there, and then you can file an application. So there is a vast difference between CIRP and PPIRP. Professional opportunity, what is available here? I think I should not discuss it at the end. In fact, if I want you to gain some kind of motivation, or you want to listen to this lecture for the full, you need to know what kind of professional opportunities are available here. See, the main thing is every application here is filed at NCLT. So you can easily represent at NCLT level. It's not necessarily that you have to be an insolvency professional for that. However, if you are an insolvency professional, it is always a better chance for you, because you are there to sign the documents and you are there to do a lot of other works. Even if you are not there, still there is a professional opportunity for you, because you can guide your clients that this kind of process can be taken up to restructure your business. So professional opportunity is there. And with the advent of this insolvency, I tell you, my friends, a different kind of atmosphere has come up. I mean, the traditional practice of CA has lowered. You all know that. So this whole journey of IBC has produced a lot of insolvency professionals, and with them a lot of experience is there. And if you hear to them, they are really going more and more into these kind of activities, because it is much more remunerative. In fact, not only remuneration part, what you are doing is you are stepping into the shoes of the management and working just like the management, because now you are there to think about the situation of the employees, the creditors. You have to reconcile all the parties. You have to make them satisfied. You cannot have one person all the benefits. So you have to satisfy the company as well as its creditors on both the sides. You have to reconcile. You have to show your management skills. So negotiation skills are also there. So if any CA, I mean any chartered accountant, is having these kind of skills, you can easily go into this kind of profession. So next is, what are the practical difficulties? We will be seeing that also. What are the practical difficulties? However, the theoretical structure has been given by the law. But at the time of implementation, we will understand that the infrastructure is not proper. That is why, though the IBC code introduced in 2016, everything has not come into place. It has not been fully implemented also. So it has been 5 years. So it is quite difficult. The difficulties are really there. The codes are not there, sufficient codes are not there, pending applications are there. So though they say it is a time-bound process, it will finish off within 330 days or so, but it is not happening that way. And people are sometimes making use of this thing for their own interest. So that is also one of the things. Let us understand the IBC. I have already told you something about it. It is the Insolvency and Bankruptcy Code 2016. In short, we call it code. It covers both corporate, that is company and LLP, and individuals, that is partnership and proprietorships. The provisions relating to insolvency and liquidation of corporate persons came into force on 1st December 2016. However, the insolvency and bankruptcy provision for other category of individuals are yet to be notified. Could you make out a very clear difference? We have just understood that for corporate persons, the provisions have been enacted already. But the word used there is insolvency and liquidation. And for the other people, that is for the individuals, the term which is used is insolvency and bankruptcy. Insolvency word is common in both. However, for corporates, we call it liquidation, and for individuals, we call it bankruptcy. That is the major difference this code has brought into. It is a time-bound resolution process. Why is it called a resolution process? Because a resolution, a kind of plan is passed, and that is firstly passed by the creditors, and then it goes to the adjudicating authority, it clears it, and the whole process comes that way. So, and the time frame is there. You have to complete everything within time. A proper time sheet is maintained. You have to be on toes every time. And mind you, my friends, it is a very, very, risk-taking kind of profile, because in CA you might be facing some kind of risk, but here every time you will be having calls either from the creditors or from the company side or from the any other employee. If you miss out someone you are making a list of the claimants who all should get the share. But if you miss out someone, you are the only responsible person. You have to be responsible for that. Then again, cases are also filed against insolvency professional. A lot of cases are filed day in and day out for each and everything. So again, though there is risk, but At the end of the risk, you have the profit. Object is to maximize the value of the assets. How it maximizes the value of the assets, because it is a kind of bidding process. Whoever bids better will get the call from the creditors from the company. I mean, the creditors will finally decide which bidder, which person has a better plan to take up the company, to give them better amount to satisfy their debts. So the object is maximization of the value of the assets. Promotes entrepreneurship, availability of credit, and balancing the interest. I think you all understand this. It is promoting entrepreneurship. All those who want to do something but they are not allowing because of some or the other reason, they may come up with those other enterprises which already have an establishment, but due to financial crunch, they are not able to do. So they can, the entrepreneurship feeling or the entrepreneurship experience can be developed because of this activity. Availability of credit, it is simply because as soon as the process is taking place, the people are now not reluctant to provide you the credit facilities. They will easily give you the financial facility, and even the person who has bid you the best will give all the financial help to start the company again. And it, of course, balances the interest of all the stakeholders. None of the stakeholders can be dissatisfied in this case. There are 4 pillars of IBC. So insolvency professional, we are hearing more and more about him. Then we have adjudicating authority, that is the NCLT. See, insolvency professional is the one who actually takes up everything. He is the professional person who files the application, who studies and dig into the depth of the company records and finds out where and what mistake has happened and how this losses can be recouped. Adjudicating authority is NCLT, wherein we file the application. Information utilities is a repository of information. The corporate debtor has to file information regularly to these information utilities, and this information can be traced out by the insolvency professional. So nothing can be hidden from him. Last is the Insolvency and Bankruptcy Board of India, that is IBBI. So a separate board has been set up altogether to monitor the working of all these persons. Next is the background of PPIRP. The president had recently, as I told you, because of this COVID situation, an ordinance was passed. You can see here the word ordinance is there. Insolvency and Bankruptcy Code Amendment Ordinance 2021, which has added a new chapter, that is chapter 3A in the Insolvency Bankruptcy Code 2016, introducing the framework for pre-packaged insolvency resolution process. So altogether, a new chapter has been added. So if you can see, ordinance word is there. It was a necessity at that time. They had to come up with a solution urgently. So an ordinance was passed by the president. However, as we know, it is for a temporary phase. So as soon as that time period was over, the amendments had taken place into the act itself. So everything which was there in the ordinance has become a part of the act now. So the act itself has changed. It has all the provisions of PPIRP now. It is specifically designed, PPIRP is specifically designed for the corporate debtors. In short, we can call them CD, qualifying as micro, small and medium enterprises under section 7 of the MSMED Act. So in short, they want to tell you that it is applicable for MSMEs, but who will be MSME? Whom do you consider MSME? The definition is same as given in MSMED Act under section 7. So I think you know the definition, or if you don't know, let's see the definition in a short while. What are the key features of PPIRP? Let us first understand this. It is a quicker, cost-effective process than CIRP. CIRP is sometime time-taking also, and it is a costly affair also, because many kind of things have to take place. Let me just tell you one or two. As soon as you are appointed as an insolvency professional, IRP, interim resolution professional there, or anything like that, every control of the management comes to you. So management is now not in control. It is the insolvency professional who is appointed there to work is in the control. So he has to take the control of the checkbooks. He has to take the control of all the payments which are to be made in the regular course of the business. And he has to take GST registration also in a different fashion, because everything has to be done, and it has to be done in a time bound fashion as well. So again, for doing everything, for publication of the advertisement so that applicants can come up for bidding, that again requires a lot of expenditure. So again and again, cost involvement is there in the process of CIRP. So to mitigate all those disadvantages, this process has been introduced, which is quicker and cost effective as well. We'll understand it in a few slides later. It is especially designed to serve the MSME. This we all know. It also guarantees the continuity of the business by adopting debtor in possession model. See, by the time you study this PPIRP, just keep in mind the difference between CIRP and PPIRP. CIRP, as I told you, corporate insolvency resolution process. In that case, whole of the control of the management is withdrawn, and it is given to the insolvency professional who is appointed to do the work. So at that time, it is called, the person is called IRP or RP, resolution professional or interim resolution professional. So the difference between CIRP and PPIRP we were discussing. So CIRP, the management does not have a control. However, in PPIRP, the management is still in control. They are not giving out their control. It is just that they are saying that they can do the business on their own, but this is the plan. It has to be approved by the creditors, and then they can proceed. So the management, they are not losing their powers at all. That is why in PPIRP, it is called debtor in possession model. The corporate debtor is still in the possession of the power, and that is why it is called debtor in possession model. And here we are seeing that in CIRP, board of CD, that is board of directors of the corporate debtor, is suspended for the time being, and the powers are taken up by the whole and soul, the resolution professional. He takes into the role of the board of directors, and he has to take the management decisions. And that is why I was telling you the management skills are required if you are into this kind of profession. PPIRP ensures that the promoter continues to run the business, because the object of PPIRP is just that the promoter should continue to run the business, and that is why this has taken place, and that is why it is adopting the character of debtor in possession model as well. These are the relevant section, as we have just read that chapter 3A has been introduced. Altogether, new chapter has been introduced for PPIRP. So these are the relevant sections. I'll just walk you through fast, because it's not that I'm teaching you all the sections. I cannot teach you in one day. It is just that we are creating a background, what it is all about, so that you can study on your own, and if you like, you can pursue this kind of profession also. So 54A tells what are the corporate debtors which are eligible. So what is the eligibility criteria if you want to go for PPIRP? 54B tells the duties of insolvency professional before the initiation of PPIRP. See, this is again a major difference between CIRP and PPIRP. In CIRP, there is no work has to be done before the filing of the application. Everything is to be done after the application is approved by the NCLT. But here, a lot of paperwork, a lot of detailed analysis has to be done by the insolvency professional, and it is his duty to do even before the initiation, before the starting of PPIRP. So next is 54C, application to initiate PPIRP. So how to file application, to whom this application has to be filed, in what form, what are the attachments, everything will be discussed here. Okay, let me tell you one more thing. While reading this code, we have to go through the rules and regulations as well. So rules of PPIRP are also there, regulations are also there, all of them, these sections. So everything has to be studied together to get the complete knowledge. 54D, time limit for completion of PPIRP. So what is the time limit? Time limit here is 120 days. As soon as the application is admitted, so who admits? Admission is done by the adjudicating authority. So once your application is admitted, your timer starts and it is just 120 days. Within 120 days, you have to complete what you had planned. If you could not succeed, then what happens? So this process comes to an end, then liquidation starts. Either the liquidation will start or whatever action will take place through the adjudicating authority. 54E, declaration of moratorium and public announcement during PPIRP. This point is same in both CIRP and PPIRP. As soon as your application is admitted, the very next step is moratorium. Moratorium means everything will stand by. Like no more suits on the corporate debtor. It is no longer bound to pay to anyone else. Everything will be freezed. So this is known as moratorium. And then public announcement. Public announcement is to be made that this particular company is going under this PPIRP or CIRP process, and you cannot file further suits here. And if you have any kind of dues, you have to submit your dues to the insolvency professional at this address, or this is the mail ID. So this kind of public announcement is to be made. Next, 54F. Duties and powers of resolution professional during PPIRP. Earlier we studied in 54B, it was before initiation. Duties were before initiation of the process. Now, during the process, what are the duties and powers? Then 54G, list of claims and preliminary information memorandum. List of claims simply means who all are the parties who have some or the other amount due against the company. So if any employee has a certain amount of outstanding, if income tax department has some outstanding, they all will be clubbed together and a list of claims will be prepared, financial institution or whatever. So a list of claims will be prepared and this shall be discussed, and how they have to be paid will be studied accordingly. 54H, management of affairs of the corporate debtor. So who manages the affairs of the corporate debtor? I just told you, in PPIRP, the management is still with the corporate debtor only. The promoters themselves manage. It's not that it is going to someone else. 54I, committee of creditors. What is committee of creditors? Here, as we discussed, there are two kinds of creditors, financial creditors and operational creditors. However, for the purpose of forming a committee, IBC specifically says that we need to have financial creditors in the committee. So financial creditors, they too should not be in any way related to the company. So unrelated financial creditors will form a committee to approve the plan, whatever is being proposed in front of them. So the committee of creditors is formed by a resolution professional in case of CIRP, and here the complete procedure is given in 54I, that who formed this committee. Any name if you skip, then again the liabilities of the person who has skipped that name. So again, whether that person can come into committee or not, and whether the resolution passed will succeed or not because one of the name was skipped. So all those things are also there. 54J, vesting management of CD with resolution professional. I mean, if I'm going fast, you can let me know in the chat box. And if you have any queries, just put them down in the chat box, wherever you are having any query, but we'll discuss them at the end. Vesting management of CD with resolution professional. This 54J says that sometimes it may happen that the powers of corporate debtor may go to resolution professional also. So there are some circumstances wherein it is observed that these people are not doing transaction in a fair manner, or they are doing everything in a fraudulent manner. So in that case, this will go. Okay. Then 54K, consideration and approval of resolution plan. So whatever resolution plan they have received. Okay, let me tell you one more thing here. Here there is a concept of base resolution plan. Base resolution plan, BRP, we call it in short. So what is this BRP? Suppose I am it's my company and I am there to file for PPIRP. I'll first of all prepare a resolution plan according to me. Like for the financial creditors, I'll pay them 80%. For the operational creditors, I'll pay them 60%. From where I'm getting the funds, that is not required, but how I will repay them. So that is the resolution process, and within how much time I can recover all the debts, and then How can I start the business or the plan? I have to prepare that. So that is the base resolution plan. So this base resolution plan is prepared by the corporate debtor himself. He puts this plan into public. Why he is putting the plan in public? Because he wants other to share their plan as well. Like I have given my plan, and suppose Muskan ma'am wants to share her plan, then she can share her plan firstly looking at what I have decided. So if her plan is better, then she will have an option to have the company, the resolution plan will be hers, not what I have decided. So it is like that. So my resolution plan will stand as a basis that this is what we want. So that is why it is known as base resolution plan. The other parties can come up with a better resolution plan or may not come with a better resolution plan. So if anyone is not coming up with a better resolution plan, then it may happen that the resolution plan which the corporate debtor has suggested will come into implementation, provided it has been approved by the committee of creditors, and then it is approved by the adjudicating authority. But if there is any other person who has a better plan, obviously the chances are with that person. So you understand the meaning? Resolution plan. So approval is all the more important. So there are two sets of approval. First approval is given by the committee of corporate debtor. It is majorly 66%. 66% voting is done for the approval of the resolution plan. And once they approve, this plan goes to the adjudicating authority for their approval as well. Then 54M is appeal against the order under section 54L. Suppose the resolution plan has been approved by the NCLT, that is the adjudicating authority. However, there are some creditors who are not satisfied with the plan. Can they complain, or they have to mandatorily follow what has been ordered? So this 54M says that you can file an appeal, but the circumstances are mentioned here when you can file an appeal. Then 54N is the termination of PPIRP. When will this all come to an end? 54O is the initiation of CIRP. Now you can see that PPIRP can convert into CIRP also. So this is the case where we can study this. Then 54P, application of the provisions of chapter 2, 3, 6, 7 to this chapter. I mean, other applications, whatever the penalties or the other procedural part is there, that will follow. That is not being again and again introduced as a new section. It is just that wherever it is there, you have to just take it up from those parts. Next, what is PPIRP? Manner of resolution of a corporate person, wherein a resolution plan is formulated by the management of the corporate debtor in consonance with their creditors. Why in consonance with their creditors? Because it is not just that they can plan anything. They have to first prepare the plan. I mean, corporate debtor has to first prepare a plan, and then they have to discuss it with the creditors while retaining control over the management and operations of the corporate debtor. That is, they are still into the control. What is MSME? This is the new criteria for the MSME with effect from 1st July 2020. It is same for manufacturing and service enterprises. So just think of your clients, if they are manufacturing or service, both the criteria they have to satisfy. If they are the investment in plant and machinery is below 1 crore and the annual turnover is below 5 crore, then they are classified as micro. If the investment in plant and machinery is below 10 crore, more than 1 crore and below 10 crore, and the annual turnover is more than 5 crore but below 50 crore, then they are considered as small. And the third criteria for medium, it is that investment in plant and machinery should be less than 50 crore and the annual turnover should be less than 250 crores. If both the criteria are fulfilled, then only a particular enterprise is categorized as micro, small or medium. I hope you understand this. There are a few points which should be noted while considering this MSME part. Composite criteria is to be followed. It is not just that investment in plant and machinery is seen and the annual turnover part is ignored. It's not that. Composite criteria is to be followed. Same limits for both manufacturing and service units. Earlier there were two set of different approaches were there, but now it is the same limits are there. applicable to manufacturing, service, wholesale and retail trading units. Now MSME is applicable to wholesale and retail trading activities also. That means traders are also covered now. Export of goods or services or both shall be excluded while calculating the turnover. So at the time of calculating the annual turnover, you have to exclude the export of goods or services or both. Investment in plant and machinery or equipment will be determined from previously filed ITR. That's it. So that is to be taken into mind when you are considering what is MSME and what is not. So we are now discussing who can file an application to initiate the PPIRP. Any corporate person, which is a company or LLP, classified as an MSME, just as we saw under the section 7(1) of MSMED Act. So the criteria we have just discussed was the criteria of MSMED Act only. So if you are classified as micro, small or medium, you can file the application under PPIRP. That is the most important thing. One more thing, it is not just that if you are MSME, you can anytime go and file the application for PPIRP. This is the first criteria, and the second criteria which you have to satisfy is PPIRP can be initiated on minimum default of threshold of rupees 10 lakhs only. So if the default amount is 5 lakh or 6 lakh or any amount which is below 10 lakh, you cannot go for filing this application. You can file an application only and only when the default amount is minimum 10 lakhs. However, the central government holds the power to increase the default threshold to 1 crore. That is up to them. They can make changes, they can make amendments. There's one more thing. There's one question for all of you. If you are hearing properly, let's see whether registration is compulsory. Registration under what? Registration as MSME. That is, do you need to have Udyam registration? If you have Udyam registration, is it that only then you can file for this PPIRP? What do you say? I hope you can reply in chat box. Whether registration is compulsory to file an application under PPIRP. Registration as MSME. I mean, I'm
Recording in progress.
I'm so sorry. There is some electricity failure here, so I'll not be able to share the screen. So anyone from the committee may share the screen. I'll just walk you through. Meanwhile, we can discuss some questions if you have. Just let me know if you have any kind of questions. Deepika ma'am, are there any questions as of now?
Let me, who is from the technical team? Akash? No
Okay,
queries.
perfectly fine. Meanwhile, you are starting the screen share. I'll just revise, or I can just continue the session without the PPT then. We have just discussed who all are interested, who all are eligible. So if you prepare a flow chart or the workflow in your mind, how it goes. Firstly, a corporate debtor itself has to analyze whether it is an MSME or not. So if it is an MSME, we were discussing that whether the MSME has to be registered or not. The answer to this is registration is not required. It is only written that the corporate debtor should be classified as MSME. So if it is under those specified limits, then it is, even though it is not registered under MSMED or it is not having any Udyam registration, still it can file PPIRP application. So I think that makes sense. Even if you are not having any Udyam registration, you can still go for it. Are we there? Are you able to open the PPT? Okay, never mind. The next thing is, once you decide that if you are an MSME, then you want to go for this PPIRP process, then what you have to do, you have to do some basic exercise. I mean, some preliminary steps are there. You have to chalk out a base resolution plan. You have to prepare a list of the creditors also, whom you can discuss. And this list of creditors shall be financial creditors and they should not be related to the corporate debtor. So you have to make a list of that. All these things are to be done by corporate debtor along with any professional help. That means any insolvency professional can be associated with this kind of work. Then they have to identify one person who can be give his or her services as insolvency professional as soon as this application is accepted. So the name of the person is to be identified in advance. This is there. Then what you can do is, if you have all the things ready, you can just discuss the plan. Then if it is there, 66% majority is approving that yes, we want to go for PPIRP. The creditors are saying that yes, we can go for this PPIRP kind of scheme. Then a go ahead is given to you, and then you can file an application to the adjudicating authority in form 1. In form 1, we have to also file various documents, attach some documents saying that all these things will be there. And if approval is given by the adjudicating authority, then this is called commencement date, the date from which you have got the admission of your application. It is known as the commencement date. So PPIRP starts from this date, and you have to complete the process within 120 days. That is the timeline which you have to follow. However, in CIRP, it is 180 days, or maximum it can go to 330 days. It is like that in CIRP. So that is again a difference between PPIRP and CIRP. Then once this application has been admitted, the next thing is moratorium, and the public announcement shall be made. At the time of public announcement, again, this base resolution plan, which corporate debtor had made, he has to show it this to the committee of creditors as well. Now the committee of creditors will be formed. Earlier, this was known as unrelated financial creditors meeting, because we were not having the complete list. It was just that 66% of the financial creditors who were not related were there and they had approved. Now a proper committee shall be formed. A proper resolution professional will be appointed, and he will do all the process. So everything will be done by him. So this meeting will take place, and again the approval from the base resolution plan shall be discussed. This base resolution plan shall be published in order to have better plans from the public. So if anyone gives a better plan, then that plan shall be analyzed. So how we can say that this is a better plan or this is an inferior plan? There is an evaluation matrix. on what parameters you are judging. So all these parameters are also decided by the creditors. So if it satisfies all those criteria and if it seems better than the one they had already discussed, that is the base resolution plan, then this new plan which they have received, the better alternative suggestion which they have received will take place. The person who is applying for this is known as resolution applicant. So the resolution applicant is a person who gives a resolution plan on the basis of the base resolution plan provided by the corporate debtor. So it is like that. So if anyhow his ideas are looking favorable to entire committee or the entire committee of the creditors, then they can go for it. So once they approve, again the processes, this will be told to the adjudicating authority for their approval. And if the adjudicating authority approves this, then what they have to do is now they have to, whatever the plan says, they have to make the payments accordingly and they have to revive the business. That is the whole process of PPIRP. I hope it makes sense. I know without presentation, it is a bit difficult to understand. It's okay, but you will be shared the presentation in a short while. Maybe at that time you can make out. The whole workflow is there. The major difference between CIRP, as I have told you, and PPIRP is just that in PPIRP, it is basically for MSMEs and the base resolution plan is developed. If anyone else is providing a better plan, then the opportunity is with the other person to take up the plan that way, or otherwise the corporate debtor will themselves do whatever they have planned in accordance with their own terms and conditions. However, in both the cases, it has to be approved by the committee of creditors with at least 66% of voting. So all this is there. Professional opportunity, as we have discussed, and the practical difficulties which are there for any kind of this kind of filing of application, because many a times creditors are not willing to gather at one place. They don't want to meet at one place and again meeting. It's not possible. And every kind of claims are collected, collated, and if anyone misses out, then again it's a problem. Then filing of application, again and again adjournments are there, because the adjudicating authority also keeps on saying that this document is incomplete, you have to bring in one more thing. Consent, various consent letters have to be provided. Even the directors have to provide a declaration that they are doing everything in a fair manner. They are not doing anything with a fraudulent intention. Because if they are planning, they are giving a base resolution plan, then it might appear to the adjudicating authority or anyone else that they might have some hidden intentions, or they okay. So this is all about the PPIRP. The crux of this lecture was just to make you aware about the whole concept of insolvency and bankruptcy code, which has the two altogether different kind of things. One is PPIRP, which has been recently introduced, and the earlier part, it is still there. CIRP is still there. If anyone wants, they can directly go to CIRP. However, the threshold limit there is 1 crore. So if you want to file an application just at the time of 10 lakhs itself, you can opt for this process. So this process is also known as, this PPIRP is also known as Swiss challenge process. So why this is known as Swiss challenge? Because here you are inviting bidders to give you a better plan which you have already made. So if you already have a plan and you want the others to show a better plan, this is a kind of challenge for them. So this is also known as Swiss challenge. This new terminology had been developed here for this concept only. So for PPIRP, same provisions more or less are there, just like CIRP, but the timeline is shorter. Everything has to be done within 120 days itself, and that is it. If you have any queries, just let me know, because without PPT, I don't think most of you will be, having, you will be related, or you will be able to understand what I am saying. So if we have the PPT at the end, I can walk you through again. Meanwhile, you can have the session with the other co-speaker, please.
Thank you, Divya.
Yes, sir.
Is Madam Muskan, you can put on your video, please.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. So, President of India is a female now, Madam Draupadi Murmu, and Friday session is, overpowered by women colleagues. So, thank you, Divya. We have understood everything. I also, as a listener, saw this, that, this pre-packaged, the terminology itself is so interesting, and the IRP, and where earlier the limit, now the limit is 1 crore. Here we start with 10 lakhs. So a very interesting subject. And Muskan will be delivering a topic, very interesting topic on e-commerce, information technology act and everything. So I request viewers, there are 210 viewers currently, and I request each one of them to volunteer to be a faculty on these our webinars, other Friday and Saturday webinars and other webinars, to be a writer of a book. The institute gives 500 rupees per page. So if somebody works 300 pages, it is 1,50,000. And plus the moderation of the webinar can also be taken up by them. If you have any query, I'll hold on for 1 or 2 minutes. Mr. Akash, I would request if the participants want to give any suggestion to the committee, I can take up answering those suggestions, so they can write to us. Be very fast and quick so that we save time. Deepika ma'am, you also see that any query which comes from the
No, sir, there is no query.
Yeah. Till now there is no query, and we want to move to making video on, because now unstructured learning, there are less number of participants. So Deepika ma'am, from next webinar we want it happening on our Zoom, 500 participants Zoom, so the connectivity is better, compared to the current mode. And this is a serious request. Okay.
Sure, sir.
Thank
Sure,
you.
sir.
Over to you, Deepika ma'am, to take the proceedings further.
Yes, sir. So now for the second session, I would like to call the second faculty of today's session. And before starting the session, I would like to apprise you about Ms. Muskan Bhatnagar, ma'am. She is a full-time research scholar pursuing PhD in commerce at Amity University. Her title of research is in the area of e-commerce and cyber frauds related to it. She has also done various courses in cyber crimes. She has won many awards in debates and writing competition. She is looking forward to tap into the field of cyber frauds. I welcome Muskan ma'am.
Thank you so much, Deepika ma'am. It is an honor to present in this webinar in front of everyone and all the chartered persons present in this webinar. I thank ICAI for giving me this opportunity. So I would start my webinar. If we talk about ancient times, we know that we used to do barter system. Barter system was not just giving products, it was exchanging something in return. And then subsequently it started changing to, the product started changing to cash, or we can say the coins that were in ancient time. Then after coins, we started to cash. And then that cash now is becoming online cash. So that is how commerce has evolved. And so commerce has now become e-commerce. All the things that we are doing in electronic form is e-commerce. So I would like to present my screen. Is it?
Yeah, it's visible. You can make a full slide presentation. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, sir. So today's topic for the webinar would be e-commerce and tackling with cyber frauds. As we all know that e-commerce is it's increasing day by day. All the benefits that e-commerce bring with us, it brings a major disadvantage, that is cyber frauds. Because on each and every step, on each and every stages of e-commerce, there is a cyber fraud attached to it. So today we should be knowing that what all cyber frauds that are there in the stages of e-commerce and what is the legal aspect of e-commerce. So in a layman term, an e-commerce is something which we can exchange. Any product or services that can be exchanged is e-commerce. Okay, and doing that electronically is electronic commerce. We have seen in India a major rise in e-commerce in 2020, that is US dollar 46.20 billion. And we are expecting an increase of 111.40 billion US dollars by 2025, which is almost 3 to 4 years ahead of us. Then if we come to the types of commerce, commerce is divided into two parts. First is electronic commerce and the second is brick and mortar commerce. Brick and mortar commerce is physical commerce that we go to in a shop and buy a product. If I like a product, I'll go to a shop, I'll go to a market, and then I'll buy a product. If that is converted electronically, that is e-commerce. E-commerce also has two types of commerce. First is internet commerce and phone-based commerce. Phone-based commerce is m-commerce or mobile commerce, where all the apps are given. You buy or purchase from an app, that is mobile commerce. And second is internet commerce. Internet commerce is also divided into two parts, which is business focused and consumer focused. Business focused is where the focus is given on business. For example, B2B commerce, business to business commerce, and consumer focus is B2C commerce, business to consumer commerce, or C2C commerce. For example, OLX. OLX is where no business is involved. There are two customers. One customer wants to sell his car and the other person wants to buy a car. They go on OLX and put that car on OLX, and then the other customer buys it. There is no interaction for business. E-commerce deals with various types of products like products, services, and advertising space. Advertising space in the sense where you open a website and you see all the ads. That ads are advertising space, and that if you click on that ad, you will go to the website of that product. So that is advertising space. Then what is the infrastructure of e-commerce? First and foremost, if we go and if we want to build an e-commerce platform, we want a proper infrastructure to it. Without an infrastructure, no e-commerce can stand. We want a base to it. So in infrastructure, first we include the web HTTP server. HTTP server is not like the just the domain name or the IP address. It is a transfer protocol. You will have to check all the protocols that the internet has to give you. Protocols are just the steps that are required to be fulfilled. The second is application servers. Application servers are the softwares that are provided, or the authenticating softwares that you need to follow. The application servers connect you from web browser to the web servers. The third is transaction and database servers. We all know we transact electronically in e-commerce. So all the transaction details, all the transaction gateways has to be given, has to be legally bound by all the transaction, all the payment that has to be given. Then is mainframe and high-end computing system. Mainframe is none other than just the computer or the interface that you provide. You have to have a computer or a laptop or a phone or any hardware device that requires all the e-commerce, that you can access to the e-commerce. Then is proxy server. Proxy server is a server which is between a web browser and a web server. It acts as a barrier. So if all the traffic is coming to the web browser, it directs it to proxy server, and then if the proxy server can answer the query, it will direct it to the consumer, for example. If it cannot answer it, then it goes to the web server. Then is internet service provider. Internet service provider is where in a layman term, it is said that how the internet is provided to you. The services that internet provides you with is the internet service provider. Then if you can see on the screen, it is the e-commerce framework. As we all know, when for example, if we go and when we build a house, we need the pillars to it. We need the base to it. That is the same thing in e-commerce. We need the pillars to it. We need the base to it. We need the foundation on which e-commerce can stand. So in the two pillars, first pillar is people, public policy, legal and privacy issues. We should know that what is the policy, what is the protocol that we need to follow, what are the legal acts we need to follow, what are the privacy issues that can hinder our experience with e-commerce. The second pillar is technical standards for electronic documents, multimedia, and new protocols. So we all know that e-commerce is dynamic in nature. Every single day, some or the other things keep on coming. So therefore, we need to update our systems. We need to see all the technological developments. We need to see all the protocols. We need to know all the standards. So these are two major pillars of e-commerce that has to be there for the foundation. Now the foundation would be common business services like infrastructure, like I told you, all the infrastructures, ISPs or proxy servers or web browsers, web servers, the messaging and information distribution infrastructure, how you communicate with each other, the multimedia content and network publishing infrastructure, which means the user experience, how user friendly your website is, how will you direct a customer to a basic product or their interests about the product, what all categories that you will that the e-commerce website should have. Then the last is information superhighway infrastructures. For the basic term is the fiber optic net. If you see, there are many wires that are connected. So if we connect one wire to another, we get a network. Okay, so like all the messages are transferred to that fiber optic wire. One main server sends all the queries to the different computers, and they are all connected with wires. So that wires should not be hampered and should be connected with the correct computer. So all these, the two pillars and the base, make a proper e-commerce application, which is supply chain management, online marketing, advertising, procurement and purchasing, online shopping, audio and video demand, online financial transaction, entertainment, gaming, etc. All of these included make a e-commerce. What is the scope of e-commerce and how it can be, in what sectors can it be applied? It can be applied in various sectors. Nowadays, it can be applied in all the sectors. For example, e-commerce in banking. We know banking, all the banks are now switching over to all their apps. Like, for example, Cvber has its YONO app. ICICI has its own app. different apps are provided to you. So banking in e-commerce is done through their apps. Then is e-commerce and insurance. Insurance will include all the activities that are there in that are done virtually. For example, there are many apps like Acco or Policy Bazaar. They all do insurance virtually. They ask you for the certain amount of money and do the insurance. Then third is payment of utility bills. We all know that if electricity bill comes up, it always it shows in your mobile. It pops up in your mobile that your electricity bill is due or your water bill is due. Please pay. Like I pay from Paytm, or there are many other Airtel Money or different apps that are there where you can pay your utility bills. Then is online marketing. Online marketing, we all know that there are Amazon, Flipkart, Myntra, and hundreds of online marketing platforms. Then is e-tailing. E-tailing is none other than retailing. Retailing, when it is done in electronic form, it is e-tailing. Then is online travel services like GoIbibo, Make My Trip. All the tickets of flights, trains, buses are booked through online. Online career service industry. All the services that you need to build a career, that is done through career industry. Then is e-auctions. E-auctions are made for like eBay. eBay has e-auctions where a product is being displayed and there is an auction going on in different parts of the world. People come and do the auction. Online learning, if we say that Byju's is now a great platform to study, and Unacademy is also there, where 4 to 5 years, if we see that they were not booming enough, but after lockdown we know that they are booming like nothing. They are booming like anything. We were restricted in COVID times, that the students were not going to school and we were not learning in a physical form. So all these online learning platforms gained all the positives in COVID era. So online publishing, all the books that are being published can be done online. We send the chapters and they read the chapters, they edit the chapters. They do not have to the pen or any physical paper that has to be given. So all the publishing can be done online. Then online entertainment like Netflix or Amazon Prime, where any movie you can see online is on online. In fact, YouTube is also an online entertainment. Then online shopping is also like Alibaba, which was there earlier, and Amazon, Flipkart. So these are all the scope where e-commerce can be applied. Then how we can plan an online business for all those who want to start their career in e-commerce. How you should follow the steps or the protocols for moving ahead with e-commerce. First is you need to know about the dynamics of internet, because internet is not the same for everyone. Internet can be different for me, or it can be different for Divya man for say, or it can be different for any one of you. So you need to know the dynamics of internet. What all is there in internet, you should be knowing about each and everything before starting an e-commerce platform. Then is e-commerce types. What are the types of e-commerce? I will explain it to you in the coming slide. Then the e-commerce models. There are two types of model. First is pure online. For if we say like Flipkart is pure online. It does not have a physical store yet. So it is pure online, where everything you can buy is online. Then second model is brick and click. Like we read earlier, brick and mortar. Brick and mortar was physical stores. If we combine both brick and mortar and the online platform together, it becomes a brick and click. So here the consumer can both purchase online on the app and go to the physical store as well. Like for example, recently Amazon opened up their first physical store, so the consumer can purchase from online application as well and go to the physical store and buy the products there also. Then the last you need to know is about the life cycle approach. So I will also cover it in the coming slides. So here are the different types of e-commerce. First is B2C. B2C is business to consumer. So if the product is coming from a business and then the consumer buys it, so it is directly business to consumer. The second is business to business. A business sells its product to another business is known as business to business. And likewise, customer C2C is customer to customer. Like I told you before also, OLX is a type of C2C, customer to customer, where a product has been sold by a customer and been purchased by a customer. So the second one is C2A. C2A is customer to administration. The example of this would be the income tax refunds. Income tax refunds are given from an administration, from the government to the customer itself. There is no business in between. There is no middleman in between. It comes directly in the customer's account. Then is B2A, is business to administration. Then is C2B, is consumer to business. If like for example we refund a product, so the product is refunded back to the business, that is C2B. Then is D2C, which is mostly present nowadays. It is direct to customer. Direct to customer is there is no middleman in between. There is no one in between. An e-commerce website sells directly to the customer. It does not say that I want a business, I want different businesses to put on their website. They do not ask them to put their product and then sell it to the customer. They sell their products on their own. Then the major thing that should be known by every one of you is life cycle approach. So how an e-commerce has its life cycle is like this. First is planning phase. So you plan about an e-commerce, like you need what all you need to sell, what all products that you need to sell, what is the industry that you want to enter into, if you want to enter into banking, insurance, or online shopping. Then is infrastructure phase, what all infrastructure that you need to know, like what web server is there that can guide you, or the IP address or the domain names that is required, the certifying authority that is present in giving you the domain name. Then is design phase. Design phase is where you design your website, the user interface. How interactive do you want to put? If you want to put some pictures, if you want to put some ads, if you want to put one product at one point or different products at same point, so that is designing phase. Then is marketing phase. How you market your website, how you market your e-commerce platform is in marketing phase. Then is fulfillment stage. That means you know that now your product is ready, now your e-commerce website is ready. Now you want to all the customers to interact with them. So that is fulfillment stage. You fulfill all the protocols that has been done and then you interact with customers. Then is maintenance phase. We know that nowadays without maintenance you cannot go further, because there are developments at every single second, if I would say that. Every single second brings a new thing that was not previously there. So with that updation, you need to maintain your website. Then is feedback phase. Feedback phase is where you get this feedback from the customers itself, that how interactive that you feel, how interactive is your website, or how the products are being given to you. All that thing comes under feedback stage. Then is technology of online business. What all technology does the online business use? First and foremost would be internet, because without internet it won't be e-commerce, it would just be commerce or brick and mortar commerce. Sorry. Internet uses both. So we communicate through internet. So it uses both offline and online platforms. So the first one is email. Email is an offline communication platform where, like, for example, if my e-commerce website sent you an email like, this product is available right now, this product is available on 50% discount. So if I send you an email, you won't be able to read it now, right now, but you can read it afterwards as well. So that is offline communication. Then second is internet telephony. Internet telephony is an online communication because it can be done in real time. If I communicate with you over call or over Skype, or like we are communicating right now over Zoom or Instagram or Facebook in real time, that is online communication. Then it is IT infrastructure. You should know about the infrastructure, how it is built. So there are university. University is not just the university like Delhi University or Mumbai University. It is university is an organization where it has formed an connection with all the equipments. That is university. Then is user level, the level of users that the e-commerce or the infrastructure can hold in itself. Then is corporate. If like corporate is all the organizations that are coming together. All of these together goes to regional ISP. ISP is internet service provider. All the queries that are coming from like, for example, consumers or any user, they go to ISP. Then ISP gives that to MAE. MAE is mainframe internet, where all the queries are given to the web servers, and then they send it to NAP. NAP is Network Access Protocol, where all the protocols are given, all the steps are given, like if this should be sent to this consumer, this should be sent to this consumer, this should be sent to this different fabrication should be done or not. Then the final goes to fiber optics. The fiber optics is just a wire. It is a wire that connects one server to another. So all the connections between different computers are done by fiber optics. Then in technology, you should be knowing about the middleware. Middleware is like it is just an interaction that facilitates all the queries. So like it is written, it refers to a software which is required to facilitate client server interaction. It is a software that sites between two or more types of software and translates information between them. So like for example, it is HTTP. So like there are two different softwares which cannot interact with themselves. So the middleware helps in interaction with two different softwares. So all the queries would be synchronized enough. It cannot break in between. So the middleware helps in synchronizing or authenticating the queries that the user is asking the software. Then is domain name. After knowing all of these things, you should know about the domain name. Domain name is the name that has been, it is majorly an address of the e-commerce. Like for example, if I have an address, if I live in Delhi, my house will be having an address, the flat number or the block number. So that is the same thing with the domain name. So the domain name has for example, if I say like facebook.com, facebook.com is the domain name, but in computer language, facebook.com is not rendered as facebook.com. We know that it renders the binary language 0 1 or any numbers. So all of this is translated into IP address. IP address is like 198.104. Something like all the numbers that are together in threes is the IP address. Then you should know about artificial intelligence. Artificial intelligence is on the boom right now because artificial intelligence helps everyone in enormous ways. Likewise in e-commerce. So in the like artificial intelligence, we can say that chatbots are a special type of artificial intelligence that connects to you. Like if no service provider is there to assist you, chatbots are very much helpful in assisting a customer what all needs and wants is he or she having, or what all things that what all protocols or the steps that you need to follow on the website if it is not available to you right away. Then second one is intelligent product recommendation. Like if I buy a purse for say, so I would be needing a different strap with it. So it will obviously give me below it that customers buy this with this. Like for example, if I buy a top, I would be buying a jeans as well. So it would be given me a combination of product. So that is intelligent product recommendation. Then is AI personalization. AI personalization are if I say I want to go to a party, so they will say that you will need these things. If I say that I want to go to a hospital for say, so they will be saying that hospital needs PPE kits or masks or all the bundles that would be needing for that. If I want a safety kit, they would be needing that bandage or band-aids or all of that, so ointments. So they bundle those products and give it to you. So they are personalizing all the products by your needs. Then is inventory management. So inventory management is for a business where business wants to see that if my demand is coming more from north of India, they want to see that they want to allocate their warehouses in northern India than in southern India. So if the demand is coming in southern India, they want to allocate their warehouses in southern India. So they need to manage their inventory likewise. Then is AI embedded smart solution, where if you see in the picture as well, it has been shown like the same products, same color combination. Like if I buy a jacket, we know that this jacket can go with the brown purse or the same earring that or the same shoes or any other skirt. So all of these combined would make an excellent outfit. So the customers are interested in buying all the things at once. So they do not have to go to other segments to buy a different earring, then select a different skirt. So they bundle everything. That is done through AI enabled smart services. Then you need to know about the payment systems. So after knowing that all the products has been entered into the cart, so now the valid response of a customer would be going to payment. So there are different types of payments, like the modes and methods of payment would be debit card, credit card, smart card, digital cash, or electronic fund transfer. But it also comes with all the risks or the cyber frauds in each and every modes or methods. That will be discussed later. E-payment system also have visitors to the website. So visitors to the website are not just the frequent visitors or anyone who wants to buy a product 100%. There are some visitors like focused visitors where they will buy a product for sure 100%. But there are some other visitors, for example, they want to do a research on the product. They want to just see what all new trends is going on. So they will just go on the website and just see the product, and they will not buy it, or neither they will not put into the cart also. They will just like it and move further. And then there are other researchers also, other visitors also, which are background researchers, which just see the background of the product, and they will continue after a few they will purchase it after few time. So they have the intention to purchase, but they do not purchase it right now. Then in e-payment system is risk management. So as I told you, all of these modes of payments have an inbuilt risk with it. So if the payment is done correctly, there would be no risk. But if the payment is not done correctly, then there will be high amount of risk. And also here the high risk high return policy does not apply. Here high risk and very very low or no negligible return will apply. So moving ahead, so there are cyber threat. There will be different cyber threats in e-commerce. For example, first is hacking. So is when an hacker. So hacking is differentiated into two types of hacking. First, hacking is not always disadvantageous or bad per se. It will be first hacking would be white hat hacker, if you say. So white hat hackers are hackers that hack for example, governments. For governments want that all the things should be available to them, or like if an e-commerce, you want that hack, you want to stop the hacking. So the hackers, white hat hackers, what they do, they put a code before the frame that the other hackers cannot hack. So hacking does not always mean a negative term or a bad term. It is positive as well. But in majorly, hacking is really very bad for the e-commerce, because there are many frauds happening. Like, for example, the e-commerce websites are hacked, where you click on the product and malicious content enters in your computer, or they hack your computer with their hacking. So there are different types of hacking. Then is denial of service attack. So the denial of service attack is where if you are, for example, searching, for example, let's say shoes, searching some shoes that on a e-commerce, you search it and you like the shoe, you go to the cart and then you do for a payment. But before the payment, your computer gets destroyed, your computer starts to hang, your computer blanks off completely, then that would be denial of service. No service is being given to you by that time. So that is also done through hacking as well. Then is virus dissemination. Viruses are for example, if you open a product, you would not be knowing that it has contained viruses, but when you open that product, viruses or the worms will enter into your computer, and it will destroy all the data that has been there in the computer. So the next is phishing. Phishing is very common nowadays. Phishing is where fraudulent emails are given to you. So there are 2-3 emails that you see in your email website, and you see that it is very important email. You click on that email and you see that there is a link given to you. You click on that mail, you click on that link, and within seconds your computer will be destroyed, within seconds. So that is phishing. phishing can also have a type like if the link is provided to you an email, you click on that email, you will also see that all your important information like your Aadhaar card detail, your PAN card detail, or any type of sensitive information that has been picked. So phishing is synonymous with fishing. Like if you go into a pond or sea and you fish a fish, you fish it. So the same way is good with the fisher who hacks. So he fishes out the important information from your computer. Then is credit card frauds. Credit card frauds are very, very prevalent nowadays. So like credit card frauds may include like an OTP fraud. So if like you get an anonymous OTP from somewhere and a person calls you like, sir, for example, like, sir, please give me the OTP. I'm calling from this to this bank or this to this website. We need your OTP. And you give your OTPs. So and you give your OTP, and then you see that lakhs of amounts has been transacted from your account. But you will be saying that I did not do this much transaction. I only did a transaction of some amount or a different amount. But you see that giving OTP is a major no-no for any type of transaction, because OTP are your sensitive information or your very private information, and it should never ever be shared with anyone, because OTP is your one-time password. Your password has been hacked by someone. So credit card frauds also do that. They take the information, they take the credit card numbers and do the transaction on your behalf. And then you will see that all the money from your bank account has been transacted to some other account. Then is computer forgery. Computer forgery is computer frauds that has been happening, like your access control. Some of the computers say that access control has been denied. Access control should always be denied, because access control is like if I am presenting my screen and if Divya ma'am is present, if Divya ma'am wants to see my screen, but we simultaneously present our screen, and if I hack Divya ma'am's screen, and then I would be responsible. I would be a person that can do anything from Divya ma'am's screen or any other screen. So I will be as an replicate of her screen. So she would not be knowing that the screen has been hacked by me or any other person, but I will see all the information, all the private information that has been given. It is not just with the laptop. It is also done in every type of hardware. For example, a mobile or an iPod or an camera also, in fact. So that are all computer frauds. Then is identity theft. Identity theft is if like a person who pretends himself to be like another person. So there are very much similar things. He knows all the sensitive data like the name, address, or the Aadhaar card or a PAN card, everything. Like for example, he goes to a bank, he wants to open an account. He will give all the valid details, all the sensitive information, but the other person who is in the name, who is the genuine person, would not be knowing that the bank account has been opened in his name. All the transaction would be done through his name, and all the frauds would be done through his name. So who will be accountable for that? The genuine person. But he won't be doing any type of forgery or any type of crime for that, but he would be liable for it, because all the information has been phished, all the information has been hacked from his account. So that is identity theft. Then there are different stages in e-commerce, as we all know. First is the ordering stage, second is payment stage, and third is delivery stage. So there are these are different types of crimes that can happen. like click fraud, affiliate fraud, gift card fraud, fake website fraud, and payment. In payment stage, there are I would like to explain about payment gateway frauds. Payment gateway is majorly a connection between the buyer and the seller. So if the buyer sells a product to the consumer, he gives back the money. So the payment gateway authenticates all the data that is been given to the given by the consumer, and then he directs it to the buyer's account. So if there is fraud between the payment gateway, if the payment gateway is not present, or it has been hacked by some person, then it will be a payment gateway fraud, because all the money would be given to the payment gateway or the hacker in between. So all the money would be transacted, but it would not be given to the buyer itself. There is one query. It is like, what is the difference between denial of service attack and computer forgery? Can you please explain with example? Okay, sure. Denial of service is basically where if you are transacting on a computer, okay, and if you suddenly see that the computer has gone all blank, or suddenly see a butterfly coming, or balls coming, or any other random figure coming in between, and it does not allow you to transact even. So that is denial of service. The service that should be provided to you is not being provided. The service has been hampered because of this. So there is a large so you cannot buy the product and the product remains unsold. So that is a disadvantage for an e-commerce. And the second one is computer forgery. So in computer forgery, computer forgery is computer fraud. So fraud is related to all the transaction. Fraud, there is a difference between a crime and a fraud. A crime is a broad term where all the frauds are covered. But in fraud, transactions which are related to money. So if a money is involved, that is that is fraud. And so if in a computer forgery, if I transact in an e-commerce and that transaction, like for example, I told you payment gateway fraud. Payment gateway fraud is a computer fraud where you are transacting with the e-commerce website, but the payment has been given to the payment gateway, but it has not been transferred to the buyer. So the buyer would be sending you like, your payment has not been given to me, but but the amount has already been deducted from your account. So this is computer forgery. I hope it is clear now. Just a moment. Then after knowing about all the cyber crimes, or after knowing about all the cyber frauds that can be done, there is a big need for a cyber security plan, because you can enlist all the cyber crimes that can be done. So for that, for not happening all the crimes, you should regulate a cyber security plan in your e-commerce system. So for developing a cyber security plan, you should follow these 5-step process. The first step is scoping the assessment. So you should know that how you can assess your cyber security. Cyber security can be assessed by different methods. After the assessment, you should move on to risk identification. You should know, you should identify all the risks that are present while doing all the e-commerce transactions, or while interacting with e-commerce. Then after risk identification, you should know the risk, you should do the risk analysis. So analyzing all the risks are very important, because without analyzing your risk, your identification or assessment would not matter if you do not analyze your risk. Then after analyzing your risk, you should do documentation of risk scenarios. So like scenarios like I told you before, all the examples that are all the cases that are being present, you should do you should see all that cases and then decide what all documentation you will need. And then you should do risk evaluation and prioritization. Like for in prioritization, like for example, if I say there is an e-commerce website and you see that payment frauds are happening more often than click frauds, for say, for click frauds are less than payment frauds. So you should prioritize, or you should secure your payment methods or transaction method more than your click fraud, your user interface cyber security. So you should prioritize what all that is more in your e-commerce, or what all is necessary for your e-commerce for preventing these frauds. Then is cybersecurity techniques. There are various types of techniques where cybersecurity helps in curbing all the cyber frauds. First is you should check the access control and password security. Access control, like I told you, that some other person accesses all your device and does all the things that you should not be doing. And then is password security. Password security, as you know, that nowadays there is two-factor authentication or multi-factor authentication, where you see that there is if I want to log into a website, there the message would go to other different thing, that is it you. So that is multi-factor authentication. And password should be strong enough that it has a very less chance of hacking. So it should not be like 1234 or ABCD or your name or your address. Anything which is very easy to hack should not be a password. Password should be secured enough for includes uppercase letters or lowercase letters or numbers. A combination of all of these would be a strong password. Then is authentication of data. You should be knowing that all the data that is coming towards you has been authenticated or not, or if it is it has any mischievous things that you see or that you detect, that can be seen on the face of it. So like for example, there are spams. So there are spams where there are the companies or the e-commerce websites sends hundreds and thousands of emails to you. So you should be knowing, you should be aware of it, that that are spams. You should not click on them, because if you click on them, your computer would be hacked, your data would be stolen. So you should authenticate each and every type of data. Then there are malware scanners. Malware scanners are scanners which scan all the malwares like viruses, worms. So they do not enter your computer. So you should always have a malware scanner in your computer or any device that you do work on. Then there are firewalls. Firewalls are not a wall that has fire. It is a wall that has been constructed in between two networks. So if one computer is connected with another, a firewall would be in between those two computers. So if a virus in this computer wants to go to another computer, it would stop. The firewall would stop right here, and then it would divert it to somewhere else. So you should always have a firewall in your computer, so that all the worms or viruses or any types of Trojan horse should not enter. It creates a wall, it creates a barrier for all those worms and viruses. Then is antivirus software, which prevents cyber frauds or cyber attackers to hack your computer. So antivirus softwares are antivirus, as the name said, it is anti of the virus. It does not help any virus to enter into your computer. It does not work like a firewall, but firewall is more secure than antivirus. So antivirus in major organization is very much important. Then is cloud computing and its services. Cloud computing is all the information that you are storing in a computer. It should be in a cloud. For it would lead to major benefits, like if your computer gets hacked or if your computer gets destroyed by some external force, your data would be safe enough. You can see your data. Your data would be protected enough, that because it is connected to a cloud computing network. Then there are other types of techniques as well. I would explain encryption of code, because encryption nowadays is a term to use, because encryption, you can see any person using that my data is not encrypted or it is encrypted. So encrypted in layman term would be like, if like I and Divya ma'am are talking to each other. So if I and Divya ma'am are following one language, let's say English, then a person standing beside us would not understand it. Any language that is not understandable by another person is encryption. You are encrypting those words that are formed in your head in another language and then sending it to some other person. So that person, the other person, should also know about that language. Then only encryption is possible. So like Divya ma'am knows English, so Divya ma'am would know the encryption code that I say to her. Then Divya ma'am would decrypt that data and then understand what I am saying. So encryption is like that only. Encryption is like you change the major data into other forms, like numbers or any symbols. So you encrypt that data. Then there are security practices. There are security practices that you should follow. First is back up your data, because without backing up, your data can be accessible to anyone and it can be destroyed within seconds. For backing up of data, you can also use cloud computing. From a hierarchy of cyber security policy. You should follow all the hierarchy of cybersecurity policy. For example, if a department uses another, a department should not use a same policy for all the departments. Like if a management uses its management has a secure data, it should use another policy. And if like a supervisor uses another data, so it should have another policy. So not one policy should be done in every form. Then is employ a risk-based approach to security. So risk analysis should be done. Then you should keep eye on privileged users. So privileged users are none other than the users that come frequently on your website. So if like if I go to one website continuously, so you should be aware of it that Muskan Bhatnagar is coming to your website very frequently. So you should know that that all the what are the privileged users of your website, and you should keep an eye on them. So if in case someone does anything to hamper the transaction process, you should be knowing that this is the person that has done something mischievous. Then you should handle password securely. You should do all the make your password very secure, and do not use any easy passwords that can be hacked. 1 second. Then use multi-factor authentication. Like I told you, multi-factor authentication is where you use different type of authentication. Like if I log into one website, there are the website does send that this person is being logged into this device or this device. So that is multi-factor authentication. Then monitor third-party access to your data. Third-party access you should always monitor, because it is like the similar case as your privileged users. So privileged users come to your website regularly. So third party can also be often hindrance in any transaction or interaction with the site with your e-commerce. Then be wary of phishing, because phishing is most important. So all the spam mails, if there is any spam mail, you should ask your consumers if there is any scam mail, please report to us, or you should tell them that please do not open any spam mails, or we do not ask OTPs with personally. So like all of these emails are being sent by the e-commerce websites to all the consumers. Then is recognize supply chain security risks. So you should see that supply chain is when, like, if I buy a product and it wants to deliver it to Mumbai, for example. So in between, there are many things that are responsible for that, for the product to be handed over to the ultimate consumer. So that thing should not be hampered. So you should recognize all the risks and then do the planning. Then there is zero trust security adoption. So zero trust is a framework for securing organization in cloud and mobile world that asserts that no user or application should be trusted by default. So zero trust is where you should not trust to anyone. You are not like, he's my privileged user, I should trust him, I should give he cannot do anything against my e-commerce. No, you should never trust anyone with respect to your business. Then the last is raise awareness, because without raising awareness, people will spiral into the same fraud again and again. So you should be aware of it and you should raise awareness about it also. Then there are different cyber laws that are there. The first is the General Data Protection Regulation. So this is GDPR. So GDPR is in EU, for majorly for EU or European Union. So it was adopted in 27th April 2016, and after 2 years, the compliance of GDPR was done. So I have also given you the email, the link of the email where you can learn about GDPR. So you can also see what all regulations in different countries are there. So like in India, we have IT Act or Consumer Protection Act. So it will tell you that these laws are there in different countries. So this is GDPR. Then what does GDPR? What data does GDPR protect? GDPR basically protects identity information like name, address, ID numbers. Then it protects web data like your IP address or the cookie data or the login IDs. Then it also protects other types of data like health data, biometrics, racial, political opinions, and sexual orientation. So all these data are protected by this law, by the GDPR. So then in India, if we focus on India, we have Information Technology Act, which is major for cyber frauds or cyber crimes. So I've written all the section, offenses and penalties. So in section, like for example, I'll go very fast with it. So like for example, in section 65, it is written tampering with computer source documentation, where a source can, if there is a tampering in the source, there it will come under section 65. Then in 66, it is hacking. So there is also the penalty. There will be a imprisonment of 3 years and fine up to 5 lakh. So there are other sections which talk about all the cyber crimes and all the cyber frauds that are given in Information Technology Act, like 66C is password. If you are using a password of another person, there will be a penalty of 1 lakh or 3 years of jail or both. So like in the major cyber crime is cyber terrorism, where the penalty would be life imprisonment, which also covers under section 66F. So there are other sections also which tells you the offenses and penalties. I would be going further. Like in section 71, you can see there is misrepresentation, or misrepresentation also includes identity theft. So there would be an imprisonment of 2 years on a fine of or a fine of 1 lakh rupees. So breach of confidentiality also has a section, or disclosure of information also has a section. So all of these. And then we move on to the Indian Penal Code. So the Indian Penal Code also has different types of section where cyber frauds can be seen, like forgery. Forgery is seen in section 464 of Indian Penal Code. Then false documentation, forgery, pre-planned and cheating, reputation damage, or presenting a forged document as genuine. So all of these can be covered under Indian Penal Code also. Then the Companies Act also has some provisions of cyber frauds. Like, for example, if we say there is a serious fraud investigation office where you can report all the serious frauds by the Indian firms. Like if there is a fraud in e-commerce, you will report to Serious Fraud Investigation Office. And there is a Companies Management and Administration Rules 2014 where cyber security standards are given, and that all the protocols are also given that you should follow. Then there is the NIST compliance. NIST is National Institute of Standards and Technology. It gives you all the compliances, all the standards that should be done before interacting in an e-commerce website. So it is with respect to the business that you before opening the business, you should follow all these NIST compliances. I've also given a link to it. There are all the compliances that are enlisted in the website itself. So like I would say, like what NIST compliance does is improve it helps you in improving the cyber security. It helps you in telling you about the procedures. It also demonstrates the trustworthiness of organization and safeguards critical assets, assists in prioritizing the inventory, takes care of regulatory and contractual requirement, assists in overall information security programs. So all of this is given under NIST compliance. Then moving forward, there is the Consumer Protection Act 2019. So Consumer Protection Act was basically made to protect the interests of consumers. So this is with respect to a consumer. So as a consumer, if you are interacting with an e-commerce and there is a fraud that has happened, you can report to a Consumer Protection Act also. So recently in Consumer Protection Act, there has been they have included consumer protection e-commerce laws that are majorly directed towards e-commerce users. So e-commerce, all the e-commerce brands, the retailing, or even the foreign registered e-commerce are also they are all applicable. They are all considered under consumer protection e-commerce rules. So there is one exception where the e-commerce rules do not apply, which is any activity of a natural person carried out in one's personal capacity, not being part of any professional or commercial activity. So this is the only exception where e-commerce rule does not apply. So this is the overview of E-Commerce Protection Act. Then recently we can see that a bill was passed in Parliament, which was a groundbreaking law for data protection. So the first draft of the data protection bill came in 2018. Then the second draft was given in 2019, and the third draft which is the current draft is in 2021. It is now with joint parliamentary committee, and it is under review, because there are some things that should be changed in the bill. So they are considering that and reviewing all the data protection bill. So the actors in the data protection bill are, there are two actors. First is data principal, and the data principal is person whose data is stored. So if a company stores my data, so I will be the data principal. Then the second is data fiduciary. Data fiduciary is the company who stores the data. So for example, if we say Instagram stores all your personal information like your name, age, or your address or your photographs. So that would be that Instagram would be data fiduciary and I would be the data principal. So in data fiduciary, there are two other things also. First is data localization, where the fiduciary stores the data in India itself. India itself, it does not send it to the home country. So Instagram is from US, so US does not receive all my data which has been which I have given or which is accessible to Instagram. The second is data transfer. So when a fiduciary transfers the data to the home country, it is data transfer. So these all things are given in Data Protection Act. So the major the types of information that the types of information or the types of data in data protection bill are of 4 types. First is personal data. So personal data is the name and address. Just the name and address is personal data. Then the second is sensitive personal data. So a word sensitive comes before personal. So the data like gender, health data, or the financial data, the caste, all of these comes under sensitive data. Then is process. Then if the sensitive data, the data protection bill also says that if the sensitive personal data processes and store the data in India, it can be valid enough. And if this sensitive personal data is processed outside, then it should take the permission from the principal and the authority. So the principal would be me. The authority would be, there is a mandate in this data protection bill that all the companies that are in India should have an officer. So if that officer allows that all the data should be given outside of India, then only the data can be processed outside India. But the point is, it cannot be stored outside. It can just be processed outside. So the sensitive personal data can be processed and stored in India, but it cannot be stored outside India. It can only be processed outside India. That too with the permission of principal and the authority. Then the third type of data is critical personal data. So the critical personal data is the military related data because it is very sensitive to a nation. So the storage and the processing of the data should be in India only. It cannot be even processed outside India because it is very sensitive. It is critically sensitive. Then the fourth type of data is non-personal data. So the non-personal data are traffic patterns, demographic data, or any types of data. Like we are using GPS. So GPS also uses certain type of data. So that all data is known as non-personal data. This can only be stored through fiduciaries. So the companies that are using the data, that can only store the data. That cannot that fiduciary or the company cannot process the data. So these are the types of data. Then the data protection bill has a penalty of a minor penalty of 5 crore or 2% of turnover, and a major penalty of 15 crore or 4% of the turnover. So these are the penalties, and the major advantages of data protection bill are the data sovereignty, because all the data that are sensitive towards a nation will be there in the nation. Then cyber attacks, it will reduce the cyber attacks by if the data protection bill becomes an act, it will reduce the cyber attacks. Then there is cyber breaches. The breaches of the data will also be reduced, and fake news will also be reduced, and the tax regime would also improve by if the data protection bill becomes an act. So this is the webinar for today. Thank you everyone for your concern about cybersecurity. I am very grateful for ICAI and everyone in the team for giving me this opportunity. And if you have any query, please let me know. Okay, there's a query. Difference between firewalls and antiviruses. So firewalls are majorly walls that are there between two networks. So if one computer and another computer are connected, then there will be a firewall in between, but antiviruses will be inside the computer itself. So firewalls are outside the computer, but antiviruses are inside the computer. So that is the main difference. Anything else? Okay. Thank you so much, everyone. I am really, really grateful for this opportunity. Thank you, ICAI.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Mr. Akash?